In the U.S., the 2020 decline in college enrollment was 7 times greater for male than for female students. Among men with only a high school education, 1 in 3 is out of the labor force. For those who have a job, typical earnings are $881 a week, down from $1,017 a week in 1979. Mortality from drug overdose, suicide, and alcohol-related illnesses are almost 3 times higher among men than women.
Action.
Every year, 45,000 American men take their own lives. 45,000 men. Can you imagine a number so big? Imagine Cowboy Stadium. Now, if you're a Cowboys fan, you probably voted for Kamala Harris. We're not talking about losers right now. Come back with me. So a stadium filled with 90,000 people, then all of a sudden Thanos comes in and 45,000 disappear. That's American men every year. Deaths of despair. Say goodbye to their families because they're isolated. Now, who are men supposed to talk to right now? See, fortunately, me, I can call my brother on the telephone and we talk about sports. And I was talking to him about the Batman and Robin syndrome. And I think this is a challenge that's facing so many men. You know, everybody, they want to be, they have the main character syndrome. They really want to be the hero. And that hero syndrome is kind of leaving us all isolated because we don't know how to work as a team. I aspire to be great. Hell yeah, I want to be excellent. But sometimes when I'm in position to when I don't know what I'm doing, I got to shut up and listen because I got to learn something. I have to be able to add value in whatever situation that I'm in. But the world has gotten so easy right now. We're all divided through social media. The screen is so good. When you look at your phone, they have 4K, 8K. And if you go to whatever the nasty, the triple X sites, boy, it's more bad than real life, but it's not real life. It's not a real woman. There's no real connection. That's not your girlfriend. And so this isolation is leading to so much depression, and this depression is leading to all types of terrible outcomes, obesity, a lot of drug use, a lot of, 45,000 American men just say goodbye. And I don't want to say give up. I don't want to say quit because I know it's hard. Hell, I've been there before. Can you imagine? When I first lost my family, it was like the most devastating thing to go from seeing your children every day and being a full father to be involved to all of a sudden you don't see them for 9 months at a time, 6 months at a time. Large chunks because of these disputes that we have. And the court sides on her side, and every man, you know, in your heart of hearts, you still love that woman, and so you believe that you did something wrong, and the things that you did wrong, you deserve to be in this terrible situation because as men, we hold ourselves accountable for every failure in our families, in our communities, and with this humongous responsibility, no one comes and says, man, everything's going to be all right because they don't give a damn how you feel. Men are supposed to produce, and no one cares if you fail. Who's going to come pick you up, dust you off, and say, try again? They ain't going to do it. If you don't have a system of men who are motivating you to keep going, then hell, man, it's like we're all lost. I think this is one of the most bestest, most hardest conversations because if there's someone in your life right now that's dealing with it, do you know what that number is like? And I know some of you, if you've ever dealt with it or experienced it or lost a loved one, I would love to hear your story. This is the way that we get engaged, is by creating community. And so we share experiences. And I know that something like the hard times that I go through, man, it's been every other 3 weeks that I've been seeing my children events, or when life happens, if I see my children on the weekend and all of a sudden they got plans for that weekend, and that's 1 week, 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks turns into 3 weeks, and all of a sudden it's November and it's about to be Thanksgiving, and you have to find a way to be grateful even though your heart is broken. These are tremendous responsibilities upon men in our society, and no one cares. But I do care. And so when I say that I care, I'm like, hey, the only response that men can have is number one, like self-improvement, right? But how does that help you right now? This immediate time, it doesn't. But there ain't no quick fix. Like the belief in self, it comes by doing things that make me feel better about myself. Small accomplishments. If I read 5 pages of a book when I ain't read a book in a year, 2 years, 5 years, hell, that's a challenge. Now, just imagine if it's a good book like The Alchemist by Pablo Coelho, and if you read that book in the first 5 pages, it forces you to read the next 10 pages, then all of a sudden, you done read 50 pages of this amazing book, and you find yourself as the main character in this story. But then you also hear that the main character has to go through hardships so they can develop real character, so they can develop some integrity, so they can be a quality person to be of value and of service to their society. Hell yeah, men have to be of service. And how do we do that? How do I form myself into being a dependable person so that I can put myself in position to be a husband, to be a father, to be a man of my community, to be a man of authority? But in order to do all these things, I can't be scared. And the underlying theme to all these, men are afraid right now. And why are you scared? Man, it's sacrilegious to say that you're afraid, but damn, that's what's going on right now. You're afraid to stand up. Every time you have a thought and you don't say that thought out loud because you think that you're going to offend the people around you, you just offended yourself. Because sometimes when you get convicted, I'm gonna take you to church, right? When you get convicted, then you have to respond to that conviction with action. And once you don't, then you let the world dictate to you who you are and what you're supposed to think and what you're supposed to say. I was having a conversation with a white man, Race does matter. And they've been so persecuted and so bombarded when white men have done so many tremendous things, When they've had the majority of the numbers to pass emancipation, to pass women's suffrage, all these wonderful things that we say that America has, the majority of white men who were in the positions of power had to pass these policies. And so when I see how white men have been so demoralized in the media, during this last election, they actually said, hey, white men, y'all just need to shut up. I said, wow, is any white man going to retort? And so when you don't retort out loud, those feelings they're still there. And so as I was talking to this white man, I was just talking to him about just being a man, just doing push-ups, being strong, setting goals, and making those goals come through fruition through hard work. That's the cheat code to being a man, is hard work. And I'm just talking in a regular voice, and he's looking around, and he's trying to see if anyone else listening. He said, man, you're not afraid to talk like this? I said, talk like what? Hey, since when was this some type of bad thing for men to just talk about being successful out in the open? This is hard. It's hard being a man. Who wants to be a man? I don't want to do that. I want to train in my Wang Tang for a hoo-hoo dilly and just let the whole world just ram me, I want to put my legs up in the sky and just let the whole world take advantage of me because I don't want to do what's required as being a man. And that type of pressure is making men, they're transitioning and saying, I am a woman. I don't want to participate. I don't want to compete. And then you have the other men, the 45,000 men that happen every single year that self-transition because they say that the responsibility is just way too hard. And me personally, I don't think it's supposed to get any easier. I don't think anyone's supposed to take any weights off of my shoulder. I think I'm supposed to work with 10 million men collectively in the United States to have one organization so that we can negotiate for power in America, so that we can reform the family court, so that we can end and abolish child support. Now, see, that's what I believe. And now if I can't get 10 million men to believe this exact same thing with me, to have the most powerful, peaceful protest in the history of the world, the 10 million man march, if I can't persuade you and motivate you to operate in your best interest, in hell, man, then I failed as a content creator. I failed as a man to encourage and persuade other men to just do what came naturally to you. And that's to be powerful, especially in a specific geographic location, America. It makes you the bestest, the greatest American alive.
The greatest American alive. The greatest American alive. The greatest American alive. The greatest American alive. The greatest American alive.